Michael Laws, uncensored on the platform.
Okay, your calls, your views on things we've talked about this morning. John, welcome to the show. Good morning to you.
Oh, hi. Regard to what Craig Strovo was saying about boosting tourism, if you take tourism's contribution to GDP and divide it by the number of employees, and you look at that as a trend, it's tanking down. So I don't know why the government thinks that it's going to make things better by boosting tourism.
Sorry, explain that to me again. More tourists that come to this country, the more money they spend, gets reticulated through the New Zealand economy, the more jobs in New Zealand that creates.
But it's creating low-paid jobs, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I might be wrong.
What do you call a low-paid job?
Well, for instance, I'm not sure what we need today per employee, per industry, to maintain our current standard of living or improve it. But like tourism earns per worker way below that. I mean, there might be other aspects I haven't thought about, but how
about this one for an aspect? How about this for an aspect? That even if those tourism workers were earning the minimum wage, for example, they're earning the minimum wage, they're paying tax on that, starting at 15 cents in the dollar. They're not required to earn welfare or to go on welfare because they've actually got a job, and they are meeting a need of the tourism industry to create the infrastructure to deal with the tourists that come here. I mean, I'm struggling to see how that could be anything other than a positive.
Well, that sounds like an argument to if we have unemployment and.
Well, we do have unemployment. We've got 380,000 people aged between 18 and 65, as I talk to you now, John, who are currently drawing a welfare benefit from the state.
Yeah, but the thing is about working in tourism is that you've got to be presentable. That's one thing.
Well, you have to be presentable in all jobs.
I forgot the other point.
Well, can I suggest to you, John, I have two daughters in actual fact, who are studying at university, who in their school holidays work in the tourism industry. Now, if the tourism industry wasn't there working, where would they get employment? Well, simple answer, they wouldn't. So I'm suggesting to you...
Past, well, in the past, of course, like students used to work in orchards and so on. That was what they used to do. But the thing is, with the way our migration system works, so they've got a sort of unlimited supply of labour coming in from overseas.
It's not unlimited, believe me. And as I talk to you now, and again, I know, where do you come from, John? Can I ask you, just geographically?
Christchurch.
Okay. Can I tell you, in Central Otago, there aren't, I think you'd probably know every beneficiary by name. It's a bit like the 1960s. As you go around all through Central Otago and the Queenstown Lakes, you'll see work available, employees wanted, on anything from retail outlets to cafes to cherry orchards to orchards in general to vineyards.
But it's also...
So are you seriously trying to tell me that because they're not paid whatever the arbitrary sum of money that you think they should be paid is, that it's not a good thing?
Yes, I'm saying that as a policy, I mean, way back when John Key said we're going to increase tourism, that it was a disastrous policy. And all that...
Why was it disastrous? Why was it disastrous?
It's created a big... low-paid industry. He hasn't created Samsung or anything like that. He's created a big, low-paying industry.
Sorry, John.
I might be wrong.
You are wrong. You're 100% wrong.
I'd like to hear Craig Strobo on that. I'd like to know what's wrong.
Not Slobo. Stobo.
Strobo, okay.
Yeah, but all right. I have to say, at $23 an hour, which is the minimum wage at the moment, I think it's $23.15 an hour. That's about $45,000 a year. I regard that as a pretty good income.
But look at also the effect on rents and on housing and so on. Of
There's nothing to do with the tourism industry, can I say?
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
It is. It is. Numbers are always related to infrastructure and pressure on housing.
John, I can't help you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good grief. He hates tourism. Why? Apparently he's phoned previously. He's just not articulating it very well, says Jesse. No, he's not. Listen, I'll tell you, use my daughter as an example, should I? My daughter, oldest, she's 20 years of age. She works in the hospitality industry, which services the tourism industry, and leader in the prime tourism industry or area of New Zealand, which is the Queenstown Lakes and Cromwell area, the Golden Triangle, they call it. She's paid $28 an hour. Why is she paid $28 an hour? Because the market determines what people are paid, and there aren't enough employees, so she's paid $28 an hour to work in the hospitality sector at 20 years of age. I think that's a bloody good wage. And she certainly appreciates it because she's got to fund her way through university. She's not paid $28 an hour because she's some sort of grifter that's come off the street. She's paid $28 an hour because that is the market rate to work in the hospitality sector that is crying out for employees in the tourism sector in general. Now, if John doesn't like that, then can I just say, John, you don't like capitalism. And Colin says, tourism in New Zealand employs a lot of minimum wage migrant workers. We have way too many lazy local benefit dwellers that don't want to work. Colin, there's the problem. The problem is, and the reason that the hospitality industry in Central Otago and the Queenstown Lakes area is an extraordinary good example, is so much reliant upon migrants coming into this country and working backpackers, is because New Zealanders don't want to work. We've got 380,000 New Zealanders, as I talk to you now, sitting on a welfare benefit on their fat asses today, aged 18 to 65. Now, I'm going to excuse those who've had a stroke or who are schizophrenics. I'll even excuse those who are heroin addicts. But that's about the only excuse that I can provide. Otherwise, we have large parts of the productive sector of the New Zealand economy that cannot find people to work. The dairy industry, horticulture, good God, on the back of Flaxmere, there is an entire horticultural industry in the Hawke's Bay screaming out for workers that has to actually import them from the islands, for God's sake, because fat-assed welfare beneficiaries smoking way too much dope who live in Flaxmere are too lazy to get off their ass and go and take the job that is literally across the fence. There's your problem. It isn't the tourism industry in this country. All right. Now, it is 16 minutes to 12. Just to put that in context, so $28 an hour is $58,240 per annum. Just a little under $60,000 a year to work in the hospitality sector in a tourism area in New Zealand, because that's the going rate. Now, I'm pretty sure that's better than the going rate for a starting school teacher at the moment, isn't it? Who's had 3 years or 4 years at university, done their degree, got their diploma of teaching. I'm pretty sure they don't start on $58,248 per annum. So when people talk about the tourism industry being low paid, can I just say, John, crap. Morris, welcome to the show. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Hello, Morris. Michael Laws.
Yeah. G'day, mate. Yeah, just following on for what that John guy was talking about, but we're not all sitting on our ass. I've been looking at jobs up in, I live in Dunedin, but I've looked at machinery jobs up in Cromwell, which would be quite good. But the issue I found was trying to find somewhere, accommodation to stay, like, you know, to rent a house or something out there was going to cost about $800 a week. So I was, you know, and I'd be lucky if I was getting $28 an hour, hopefully, like your daughter's a pretty good coin. But that's one of the handicaps about trying to apply for some of these jobs in Central or Queenstown is somewhere to stay, which is, you know, going to bleed you rent-wise.
Well, I mean, the answer to that question is you're not staying by yourself. So if you personally, Morris, are looking for a job, you're flatting with others in a flat. So it's not going to cost you $800. So why on earth you'd think that you'd be living by yourself in a residence all by yourself is beyond me when you're a single man.
Well, because it's quite difficult to find anywhere even to flat up there, even some of the
You're coming up with excuses, Morris. I don't have much time for it.
No,
you would flat with other people. No, you're not. You're coming out with excuses as to why you're a lazy bastard and not working. No, seriously. 800. Yes, you are. Who paid? Sorry, you're a single man and you think you're going to go to a place and live in a flat by yourself. Are you mad?
Well, does your daughter live at home?
She does.
Well, there you go. So she doesn't have to pay rent because she's living with you. It makes a big difference.
But it wouldn't. But she's got plenty of her compatriots of her age group who are out there flatting now, who flat with 3, 4, or 5 other people in a flat. It's sort of normal, can I say, Morris?
Yeah, but it's not normal for an old guy to go and live with 3 or 4 young people in a flat.
So let me get this right, Morris. How old are you?
50.
You're 50 and you're single?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're on the benefit?
No.
What do you do for a job?
Well, I'm applying for jobs. I'm living off my...
you are on the benefit? Yeah, okay. All right. So let me get this right. You're unemployed at the moment, living off your savings. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Where do you live? What part of the country?
Dunedin.
Oh, God. There's the arsehole of New Zealand all wrapped up in one. Why don't you leave Dunedin where you haven't got decent weather and lots of jobs, and why wouldn't you come up to Central Otago where there are literally screaming vacancies? And the answer to your question is because I want to live a certain lifestyle where I'm living by myself. Is that right?
No, you're putting words in my mouth. No, I'm saying the economic side of it is difficult. You know, like even trying to find a room, a room in a house that's shared is probably $250. Look, believe me, I've been looking $250, $300.
You haven't been looking very hard. Because if you can earn $58,000 a year working in... Yeah, but the problem in many cases is attitude. But if you can earn $58,000 a year, almost $60,000 a year, in the places where there are jobs in this country, but what you're saying to me is this sort of grifter who would say this in Ruatoria as well, I can't leave home. It's too expensive. I don't want to change my lifestyle.
Look, let me tell you, I'm not a grifter. Look, I was working in a coal mine in Kaitangata.
So how did you get to Dunedin? How did you get to living by yourself in Dunedin without a job, John? Morris? How did that happen?
Because I came back from Australia and wanted a nice place on the coast to live at.
So let me get this right. You came back from Australia, you didn't have a job to come back to, you wanted to live on the coast, so you went to Dunedin, where you're not working either. Is that right? Have I got that right? You're very hard, man. You don't really know the whole facts. I came back from Australia with fairly financial, bought a place freehold, renovated. It's all of my own money, not any from the handout from the government. And then I reinvented myself and got different licenses to go and dry heavy machinery. And started working in Dunedin, and then I progressed down to a mine down in coal mine down in Kaitangata, where I was that keen to get a job. I went down there, worked in the coal mine 5 days a week, and actually just lived in the caravan. So I was committed. You're trying to make out I'm not committed. Sorry, but you're not committed now, and you're living in Dunedin, and you don't have a job. Can I also say, if you've got those, and also can I say something else to you, Morris? You've just told me that you have certain skills in terms of driving heavy transport. Again, plenty of jobs for tradies and people with those sorts of skills, again, in Central Otago and the Lakes region. There's still a boom here in terms of construction industry. Cromwell is full of people with your particular skill.
Because it's still very difficult to find anywhere that it's reasonable without spending half your wage finding somewhere to live.
And so rather than do that, I'll stay in Dunedin where I'm not going to have a job and ultimately expect the taxpayer to look after me.
No, you're wrong again. You're a very cynical person. I told you that I'm financing myself.
That will eventually run out. That will eventually run out, Morris.
Well, not for quite a few years, actually. I'm financially very well off. So I can still plug away. I'm applying for a job this afternoon at the.
How long have you been looking? Can I ask how long you've been looking for a job?
Well, I've been pretty ill for the last 3 months. I've just got over all that, so I couldn't do much when I had a lung infection. Was in hospital, but now that I'm healthy, thank God, I'm back on looking at work again. So I've been off work for probably 4 months because I was critically ill. Okay.
Best of luck, Morris. Let me know how your job hunting goes. Thank you very much for talking to me. David, welcome to the show. Good morning to you.
How are you, Michael? A bit worried about talking to you after the last two calls.
Oh, listen, I cannot find, I loathe old men with excuses. It just annoys me so much.
Okay. Hey, look, really enjoy listening to Craig Stobo. He's so good. Just wanted to sort of make a plug to you that I think the real issue that sort of sums up what you've been talking about this morning is that we haven't taken a good look at the structure of our economy. Pretty much what we do is we export processed grass, we build houses, and we add in tourism. And, the structure of the economy is what we should be aiming at. Yes, tourism is good, good entry-level jobs, all that sort of stuff. But if you look at the countries that are wholly reliant on tourism, doesn't look that great for those countries, for those host countries. You need a far more stable and far stronger economy sitting underneath it. So
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you at all. Tourism is the reason that you have a standard of living in this country. The only the prime generators of export revenue over the last 30 years in this country, and particularly this last century, are dairying and tourism. They vie with each other to be our primary export earner.
And they were the number one for a while, weren't they? Before
well, no, they swap around. So they're either one or two, depending upon the financial circumstance or the economic circumstance of the trading environment. But if we had neither, so I'd have to say, tourism is an underpinning of the New Zealand economy, and it has done so for the last generation.
I would agree with you right now, that's true. And especially since, it's price sensitive, as you know, like our dollar is weak. This is an easy win for the government to increase tourism. But, there's a lot of discussion that's been going on for years about value tourism, increasing the value we get out of that sort of thing. What do people spend on? What sort of jobs are available? It's all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's good.
Well, no, again, I don't have much time for any of those arguments. I mean, for somebody to travel to New Zealand, which is an awfully long way away from anywhere else, particularly from China or from Europe or the United States, you obviously have a degree of income, and you spend it in this particular country and you create jobs. If we didn't have tourism in this country, we would not have an economy. Sorry?
Japan is cheap. Japan is cheap right now because of the yen. New Zealand's cheap right now because of our dollar. So that's actually...
It is not a cheap place to get to. We are not a cheap tourist destination.
No, that's true. That's true. But their money goes further when they get here, so that's okay. Now, my argument here was the one that sort of links to the discussion you had around CRIs, and innovation and that sort of thing. I'll just make a plug that we need a little bit more of a long-term plan for our economy to actually build up some structure, whether or not we diversify from those main ones now or whether or not we have something new. That the CRIs should be attached to that. They should be focused on what is the future of our economy and the underpinnings of the structure of the economy. I don't care if we diversify from dairy, that's great. But how do we actually earn more for what we export?
I always ask this question when people say, and they have done so for as long as I've been in public life, we need to diversify New Zealand's economy. And my answer to that, or my question immediately is, oh yes, to where? to which other industries? Because it seems to me there aren't any. I mean, that you can diversify. It doesn't come
from anything. No, you're right. It doesn't come from anything. There's this whole movement. They call it smart specialisation. So build on what you're already good at and diversify from there is actually easier than coming up with some new, silver bullet industry.
We're bloody good at growing grass. Yeah, and we're very good at farming it. And we have brilliant people in the agricultural, horticultural and viticultural sectors. Probably why don't we just get out of their way and let them go?
Or actually help out when they need some help in terms of innovating to do something new.
Well, with all due respect, that's probably why institutions like the CRIs exist, and Lincoln University for that matter, and Massey to a degree as well.
Agree. Totally agree. Lincoln are doing a bloody good job.
Yeah, they
Pat
are.
on the back.
Yeah. All right, thank you for your call, David. Nice to talk to you. John, we'll come back and talk to you after 12 o'clock. It is 12, and there are plenty of time to be talking after 12. It is midday.
Michael Laws, uncensored on the platform.
A number of texts that either seek to admonish me or agree with me in terms of Morris. But the primary one here is that if Morris has his caravans, his Brett, then isn't his accommodation sorted? Yeah, I would have thought so too. And another view has just said, well, there are lots of camping grounds in central Otago, and they've mentioned one of them, Carrick. Yes, that would be a good way where you can just put your caravan, so there's your accommodation sorted. What's the problem? I don't know. The problem, I suggest to you, is attitude. John, welcome, and thanks for holding on, mate. Nice to talk to you. Welcome to the show. Welcome.